I'm an attorney in Auburn, California, and as a part of our continuing series on success for entrepreneurs and forms of business ownership, this is my talk on partnerships, as partnerships are used in the state of California. The two most common forms of partnerships that you encounter as forms of business ownership are general partnerships or limited partnerships. We'll also touch briefly, though, on a couple of less frequently encountered partnerships, that is the Limited Liability Partnership, or LLP, and the Family Limited Liability Partnership. But primarily we're going to talk about general partnerships and limited partnerships. Now, a general partnership, the partners all have equal share, unless the partnership agreement says otherwise. Generally speaking, all the partners have an equal share in the management decisions of the partnership, and they usually have an equal share in the profits also. They usually put in an equal amount of investment capital, although not always. The key thing to remember about general partnerships, however, is that each partner is individually liable for 100% of all of the debts of the partnership. So if you have two partners and the business goes broke, 100% of the debt is owed by partner A, and 100% of the debt is also owed by partner B. And if partner B goes into bankruptcy and pays no part of it, partner A is not on the hook just for his half. He's on the hook for the entire amount. Can't tell you the number of times that partners have come into my law office and they didn't really understand this concept until after it was tragically too late. So remember, in a general partnership, each and every one of the partners is liable for 100% of the debt or claims made against the partnership. Now, let's look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of a general partnership as opposed to, say, a sole proprietorship as a form of business ownership. First of all, it becomes a little easier to raise the money that you need to start the business. In a sole proprietorship, usually you have to come up with all the money by yourself, or you have to go out and borrow money. But if you can find a couple of partners that have a little bit of money of their own to invest in the venture, it becomes easier for you to raise the money you need to start the business. Second, very often two heads are better than one. Although in a sole proprietorship, one of the nice things is you retain complete control and make all the management decisions. Sometimes acting only by yourself, you don't see everything that's going on. Sometimes two heads really are better than one, and it's better to have someone help you with management decisions and with the workload. Secondly, general partnership gets taxed only once as opposed to being taxed twice like a C corporation. And also another advantage is it's possible that business continuity is a little better with a partnership than with a sole proprietorship. If, for example, you have a long-term illness, or you want to go on a week of vacation, maybe your partners can cover for you while you're gone, and the money doesn't stop coming in while you're gone. Further, after you die, maybe the partnership lives on and there remains something of value with regard to the business that can be left to your heirs. Whereas if the business is a sole proprietorship and depends completely upon you to generate profit, then maybe when you die, the business ceases to have any value to pass on to your heirs. So business continuity is also a potential advantage of a general partnership. What about some of the disadvantages of a general partnership? Well, you have to share now your decision-making authority and control with the other partners. Unless you draw up some very special kind of partnership agreement, all of the partners have a say-so in the decisions that are made. So now you're sharing management and control, and you may not always like that. Also, in a sole proprietorship, all of the profits were yours to keep, but now you have to share all of your profits with the other partners. Finally, there's this additionally, there's this liability issue. Now you're responsible for 100% of the debts of the business, while as a sole proprietor you were responsible for 100% of the debts of the business also, but you were the only one who was making decisions that could create debt for the business. Now you may become liable for business debts that are incurred based on business decisions made by your partners that you didn't know about or didn't agree with. So be very careful about who you select for a partner. Finally, you owe a fiduciary duty, that is the highest possible duty of loyalty and care as recognized by the law to your other partners. So now if new business opportunities come in, new chances to make a profit on different business ventures, chances are you owe a share of those new business ventures or profit opportunities to your partners, or you may have breached your duty of loyalty and care to them. A classic example, the Smith versus Fairfax case was a case where Mr. Smith took advantage of his partners in a partnership that they had. I believe that one may have been a limited partnership, but in any event, Mr. Smith seized a business advantage that was offered to the partnership, kept it for himself, and the other partners sued him. The damages, the actual compensatory damages in that case, were only $410,000. But the punitive damages awarded for breach of the fiduciary duty were $5.5 million. So don't breach your fiduciary duties to your partners. Now a partnership is a lot like a marriage. It goes through phases. Like in a marriage, there's the romance phase where you're in love, it's the first love, and everything is wine and roses, and your partner can do no wrong. And then after you've been married for a while, you notice the little things about your spouse that make you a little irritated, like they leave their dirty socks on the floor, or they have bad breath in the morning, any number of little things, and you become somewhat disillusioned. And then if you work through that and you stay together, then there's another phase which is kind of back to joy and then romance again. But it's a repeating cycle in a marriage, and it's a repeating cycle in a partnership also. And the fascinating thing to lawyers, I think, is that partnerships come apart not just when business is going bad and the partners are blaming each other for what's going wrong, but there's just as big a danger, and sometimes even more of a danger, when everything's going great and the partnership's making a ton of money. Because at that point, the partners are working so hard and they're starting to feel like, hey, I'm doing all the work around here, I should be getting a bigger share of the money. And the next thing you know, they're fighting even though their business is very successful, and they come into your office wanting to take their partnership apart. It's a very sad thing. Many, many times, partnerships can be saved if only while you're still in the romance phase where all we need is a handshake, we're always going to be best of friends and we're going to make a ton of money together, they sit down with a lawyer and draw up a good written partnership agreement that defines all of the rights and responsibilities of the partners very clearly. Then when they get into an argument about, you know, you never told me you were going to be running another business on the side while you were working on this partnership. I thought both of us were going to be here working full time. Go back to the partnership agreement and see what it says. What did you write up? Did you write up all the partners have to be working in this business venture full time? Or was it written in there, hey, Joe, it's understood by the other partners that Joe has a different business that he runs on the side, and that he'll be devoting part of his time and energy and effort to that business. There are many different and very important little details like that. If you write them in the agreement at the beginning, it may save you from getting into horrible arguments later. It may actually save the partnership.